I had to report my birth parents yesterday to the police for trespassing. I also had to report the person who directed them to trespass because she's jumped over my patio chains to try and come into my property a few weeks ago. So Hannah did that. And apparently she tends to be doing a lot of things for me. I remember her trying to offer me food, a little box of pizza. I declined it. And shortly after, she said something like, "It's a good thing you didn't take it. I killed you today." That was 2020, 22? What was it, 22? After that, oh, yes, maybe after that, somewhere around that time, I used to bake at that time, and I couldn't finish a cake. I then offered it in a box to Adam. It was eggless. I wrote the way that I do, calligraphy on the box to Adam. Anyway, never mind that. What I really tuned in to say is that I did quite a lot for my family too. When I came to the diaspora, my mother was always working. I took on the duties of becoming the domestic of the household. I used to go shopping for the whole house, carrying heavy bags. Before, we used to do it as a whole team, together with other families. There were 5 women who used to live together in one house in in Mile End and Bow, London. We used to sometimes go in different teams and carry our heavy shopping bags back. Butchers too. We went everywhere. And so when we moved out of that apartment flat, I took on that role as one person because my siblings were out doing other things. Our father had then not joined us. He did join us just briefly to drop them off. And so I was doing a lot of work, cleaning, cooking, making sure everything was okay, tip-top shape. Because where we grew up, we had a maid all the time. We had maids all the time. If there were not maids, there was young people who volunteered, who always came to the elders' house. And they always participated in chores and things, sometimes before prayers. Sometimes they just stayed over and they become part of the family somehow. I would only step in if maybe people had tea or snacks before bedtime. If, the maids, the aunties who took care of us had gone to sleep, had gone for a rest, then if we had snuck into the kitchen to have snacks or whatever, then I would go in and wash the dishes, remove the stuff that will make them upset in the morning after they've worked so hard. Okay, bye. So, what I am actually just in to say is that as I learned how to contribute in a household in those brief moments between the night and the morning when the people who would help would step in, I stepped into that role once we moved into our own place as a family with our mother at the time. Context now is that roll on into 2025. My family cannot afford to support me. I have discovered that they had already disowned me, probably for more than a year. But I had gone there for support because I was being intimidated by criminals who lived next door to me. And I needed to get my head around what was going on. But when I went to that property, I then found out that they'd already learnt some intimidating criminal behavior from the neighbors. So I had to keep my head down and figure out what was happening. Maybe in January this year, I then realized that they really were affiliated. I found their phone number. It was Zubia's phone number. My parents' study desk in the living room. I used to sleep on the couch there. Now the house has been renovated, but before that, I furnished that house. I have helped decorate the other one they sold this year. They were having so many problems. They were potentially being sued. Super Justice. I like your name. They were potentially being sued by the council. Zubia had a hand in it. The first time I saw him attend to that property in construction clothing was 2023. He seems to be having some sort of appointment. After that, Gamu and Ephraim, my best parents, they were, what's the word? Quite surprised. They're quite expressive about being surprised why he actually made the appointment when he did nothing. He attended to do nothing. And they were quite confused. I intended to ask them how they knew him, but how they kept on expressing that they didn't know why the man had made the appointment to do nothing. I thought, oh, okay, let me keep my head down and keep hearing what happens. I didn't hear anything for a while until I saw his post in my post last year around November when I was attending this flat to empty water from pouring through my flat. Partly the reason why I went to stay with them. Secondly, the other reason is because of how they were intimidating me here, and I just pretended I had to go and wash my clothes there. Only to find out that, oh, they're now more than affiliated. Now, I found this out more when I returned to my flat in the summer, in July. Since then, whenever I'm alone, as confessed by Zubir, he summons any of them, either of them, very easily to just ambush me on my patio. So I decided yesterday I would not let them into my flat. They buzzed. I ignored. And once I ignored, the neighbors decided to pick up their intercom and advise them go around her patio. I hadn't heard that, but while they were walking around, they were discussing it in the next flat. Our walls are so thin. Right now, you might not be able to hear anything because my boiler is on. It makes a bit of a racket. So, okay, please, let's not be doing that. While I was hearing them discussing, they actually did turn up on the patio, just as Zubir and Hannah, probably the other flatmates, were discussing how they'd sent them to my patio. They actually knocked on my door. I was actually put on to go and check if they had left or not. And there they were. And I had to ask them, why are you here? Now, they say things about me like I'm not grateful, or that they look unkept because they've sacrificed a lot for me. So did I. I learned how to be quite a good child. You see how I'm talking about how I became a maid at a very young age. I was doing my A-levels. I was doing a cleaning job before school. In between uni, I was doing a factory job. Early in the morning. Sometimes I'd leave at 4 a.m. to go and catch the communal bus that would take us far, far, far into the farmlands where we were packing cold chickens and you have to layer up and wear a white coat over, layer up gloves, and leave. And I furnished the house, like I said. I finished a 5-bedroom house and the living room. I was a hard worker. Later on, I could only do what I could manage. Pay some electricity bills, or just contribute here and there. And all, let me say, and all. I was doing a lot for the family. But secretly, I had to also raise some money for my mortgage. I'd already been told when I was working in a community job that I would never afford a house. So I had to work hard to save some money. I wasn't disclosed. I am quite an introvert, so I do like my own space. And I keep things to myself. Naturally, that's who I am. Never mind what's been done, apparently. Head voices and that. So, I just came on to clear up where people outwardly present themselves unkept to say that they're doing something for me. That's why they have no time to take care of themselves. I have always, since I was a child, I was taught to wash my own socks. I was taught to wash my own uniform with my hands. I was taught to iron my own uniform so that wherever I go, I will not be a burden to other people, so that I can handle myself. So, roll on 2025. Apparently, this is a sore point that even my birth mother discusses with other people and laughs that I do not know to live the rich life. Now, that's neither here or there. I really don't care about that opinion. I'm just tuning in to just clear the air that, you know what? I've done a lot for family. I've now accepted they have disowned me. When they defame me, it's only proof of that. Yesterday, I was reporting the trespassing. Zubir himself got upset that when he gets arrested, he decided to disclose that he's going to be killing my family once they're arrested together in prison. And I reported that too to the police. I'm not part of that family. Neither am I part of the criminal gang in flat 4 at, the neighbors. I've never volunteered to be part of any of the criminal activity, joint or otherwise. My ex-family have their own mindsets, which they sometimes unite with the criminals. But unfortunately, this morning, apparently, my birth mother used my calling the police to inform them that they're going to be killed in prison as if it was a sign of my defending them. Okay, so apparently my weakness is that I'm a former healthcare worker and it's in me to disclose when there's danger. What I've decided now, since police did come to address me concerning those reports, they decided not to take a statement. They decided to just opt in and not really listen to me. And you can't really force armed police to stay and listen to you, or expect to run after them and not be tased or shot. Apparently, people approach me expecting aggression. Like I said in the previous video, I behave myself. That's natural to me. So they walked off and rubbished off the approach to burglary. They rubbished off the approach to trespassing. So that was that. These people have threatened even to attack the police for not listening to these reports. Their crimes amount to terrorism. From burglary, they have escalated. I was going to say graduated, but the right word is escalated. So please, could you maybe stop defaming each other? this is not really appropriate. Okay, anyway, it's actually quite unfortunate that Gamu and Hannah use that tactic to say why they present as maybe less dressed when they compare themselves or use me, anything about me as an excuse to say this is why. Okay, understood. This to say this is why they do this or don't do this, or they don't take care of themselves enough because they're sacrificing for me. I've not, I've not, I've no affiliation with Hannah. Hannah chopped her hair because her criminal partner refused to marry her. She's heartbroken, but she's moved on to whoever Zayn is to Zubir. They're possibly related, but they've passed each other on. As well, that's not a new thing. It's each to their own. Sexual swinging clubs are not illegal, except of course if you're passing on, sexual health diseases and not disclosing. But if people choose them, I guess that's different. So that's not really the point of this video. So where people decide that they're going to defame me because they want to say they're contributing to my life, this video is just to say no, they're not contributing to my life. I have declined Hannah and Gamu's approaching or trespassing into my property. I have told Hannah, do not get into my property. I've already kept locks, put chains on the patio, and she jumped over the patio chain, trying to come into my flat. That is very inappropriate. And then she discloses that she's a mental health patient. And then yesterday she disclosed that she was considering beating me up. She's quite fast. Add violence to that. That won't be good. So, although of course I won't be holding eggs or just be a sitting duck if she ever attacks me, I wouldn't want that to happen. I didn't even get a chance to express that to the police earlier. So, each of the three people who are into the terrorist attacks now, as expressed by Flat 4 Oak House, have now disclosed that they would attack me or kill me. The other as rape. Apparently, they claim that when I'm in the right side of my property, that it is their part of the property. Last year, they would crash into the walls. This year, they torment me in so many different other ways, trying to test my patience, trying to make me aggressive so that they get me arrested instead. So apparently the armed officers came to find an aggressive woman, and they found me and didn't want to talk to me anymore, and didn't want to take a statement, and decided to be dismissive because apparently Gamu had called them to tell them that, oh, my daughter appeared kind to me. She reported that Zubia wants to kill us once we're in prison. And apparently that was a point to ignore anything I was going to say. How unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. That's all I wanted to clear up, that although things have been done in the past for me, as a mother, as a parent should do for her child, in childhood, not now, in childhood, what they've wanted to do for me now is to put me away in a mental health institute because they cannot afford to support me. The doctors disclosed it, that it's a financial concern that they express, while denying that I got married to someone, denying his existence, and yet going to spend time with the very same person. Don't worry about that bit anyway. That guy has moved on to somebody else. That situation is a bit more complicated. This video is not about that. I have also moved on. My birth family have no business finding out where I am with that. But Subir will summon them to try and ambush me because he does not want me to be moving on. He has his own delusions about being married to me, or maybe coming out of prison in a year's time after all these terrorist attacks that he claims to be part of, and coming back to marry me, or trying to get me arrested so that he can now attain me. What a way to start the morning, right? Okay, maybe we'll find something more lighthearted to be discussing later on during the day. I do apologize for some of these. Guys, okay, I'm already going through a lot. Please try to be nice to each other in the comment section. Oh dear. I do appreciate you tuning in anyway. Please do like, subscribe, share the videos. But let's try to be a bit more kind to each other. I don't know what you're feeling for you guys to end up being like this towards each other. Oh well. Hope your days get better. Hope mine gets better too.